Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about the full recertification process in docs management. We're actually going to break this down into two videos. So this first video is just going to be the recertification application approval process, which is going to be very similar to the new application that we discussed on another video. And then the second part we will discuss closing out, finishing the recertification itself. So one of the first things that we need to do when we talk about a recertification is creating a renewal offer. So we can see here on our Today page we have our renewal box. And today we are working on the renewal for Bubba Coley. So you have to do this part before you begin in docs management. We have to actually go in and create the renewal and accept the renewal before we can move on. So we're going to go here to Generate Offers next to Bubba Coley. Takes just a second for it to pull up. So we are making a renewal offer to Bubba with a start date of 11/1/2018, and it shows how long the offer will be valid. Down here we can see that we don't have any current offer, so we actually have to create an offer. So we're going to go click on where it says no offer. Lease term will be 12 months. We're not running any specials on a renewal. We're going to hit save. We want to just make sure the renewal price is correct. So we're going to assume that we're not having any rent increases. Current rent is $710. It's going to stay at $710. The lease end date for this new offer will be 10/31/2019. That is correct. So we're going to hit save. And then we need to go back in. So we're going to click on Bubba here. And we're actually going to go ahead and finish out the renewal. This is important because if we don't do this before we start docs management, we will not be able to get the correct lease dates for the program. So you're going to go up here to renewal, go to where it says renew, go month to month. We're going to select the offer. So here's the 12-month offer that we made for $710. And then we need to go ahead and put in a lease sign date. Now I understand that they have not actually signed the lease yet. So what you're going to do is put in the effective date for this renewal. So this one has a start date of 11/1/2018. That is also the effective date on the will be the effective date on the tick. So that's the date we're going to put in for signing. This is very important to, like I said, to be able to get the correct lease dates. So we're going to go here to 11/1/2018. It's got our late fee method. All that looks correct. We're going to hit next. Just a chance to check our scheduled billing. If we need to make any changes, we could. But we've got the rent amount of $710. We're going to hit next. Brings us to our summary. And we're going to hit finish. So that's step one. The next thing that we need to do is we just want to make sure that everything is correct in one site. So you want to look through the application, and this is very similar to the new applicant process. So you would have sat down with the resident, they would have filled out the application, you would have collected any income and asset information that you need. If you're able to take pay stubs, you'd go ahead and get those. If they are working, you would go ahead and get as many of the affidavits completed, just like you did through the application process. If you have to send out third-party verifications, we'll look at that in just a second. But in this instance with Bubba, he's working, he brought in his pay stubs, but he is working for a different company than when he first started. So a couple of things. First, before we get into the income, you can go into the miscellaneous tab. Let's say that there were changes to vehicles or pets or anything like that. You want to just go ahead and make that change now. So just check and make sure everything's correct. Now we're going to go into the financial tab. So we see that Bubba is currently working at PetSmart, but he didn't like it there, so now he's working at Petland. So we need to make a change on here. So what we're going to do first, since he's not working at PetSmart anymore, is we're going to make this inactive. And we're going to say that Bubba started or quit this job. Let's go back a little way. He quit PetSmart on July 31st, 2018. So we're going to make that inactive. And then we need to go in and put in the new information. So we've got pay stubs. We're not going to send out a third-party verification. But if you needed to send out third-party, this is where you would do that as well. So I'm going to put in the source of income as Petland. And if you didn't watch the first video, Bubba is actually my dog, so that's why he's working at PetSmart and Petland. Okay, so it's non-federal wage. Start date for this one was August 1st. And then we've taken the pay stubs, we've used our calculation worksheet just like we did on the application to come up with our annual salary. So that's what we're going to put in here. We have the actual information. If you're having to send off third party, you're going to go ahead and put the information from the application here. And then when you get the third party verification back, you would have to come back in and correct that, put the actual information in before you do your trial tick. But we already have this information, so we know that Bubba makes $1,352 a year. So we're going to hit save. If we needed to send off a third-party verification, I could see if Petland was listed here. If it's not, I could hit new recipient, go ahead and put that information in to get that third-party verification letter. Just a quick note, if you add a new recipient, it will not be in alphabetical order the first time you go to the drop box. It'll be all the way at the bottom. And then the next time you come in, it should move it into alphabetical order. But it will keep that database for you. So if anyone else comes in from the same company, it's already there. So we're going to hit save. So we've made our change here for the new job. He also has an asset. And we do the under 5,000 here, so we don't have to send off a third party. But again, same thing on the income. If you had to do that, go ahead and put what they give you on the application, send off your third party verification, do your due diligence. So if you can't get that within that 2 weeks, you can accept bank statements from them. And then you'll go back in and make your changes before you do your trial tick. But Bubba, on his application, last year, he showed that his 6-month average was $650. But now he's saying that there's been a change. So we just want to edit that. So we're going to say, as of today, his 6-month balance is $980. So we're going to hit save on that. Here's where we would make the third-party verification if we needed it. So we've made our changes based on the recertification application. So now that we've done that, we've made sure everything's correct, we actually need to go in and do a trial tick just like we did with the new application. So we're going to go here to certify. Certification type is going to be annual recertification. The effective date is going to be 11/1. Next. Oh, not 11/1/19. Hold on a second. I don't know why it's pushing it so far out there. 11/1/2018 will be their certification date. Make sure you look closely at that. Next, household review. So we've got the new information here. We've got the head of household, we've got the Petland, and then we've got the new amount for the checking. So we're going to hit next. Brings us to our set-asides, which on the new application we always had to select the set-aside. On recertification we should not have to do that. Down here we see that the utility allowance is $167 and the rent that we are charging is $710. We want to verify the tax credits just like we did before on the application. And nothing we have to worry about. Remember, just like I said on the application, if I had the red circle with the X, that means that something up here is wrong. We would need to correct that. Don't worry about these other messages. We'll deal with those at a later time. So then we're going to hit Finish and View Forms. Tells us that we will need to handle these before we can complete that, and that's fine. Going to bring you up to your trial tick. And for a full recertification, you're going to go ahead just like we did on the new application. Print this out because we'll need it for docs management. So it says trial. So you would go ahead and print that. I'm not actually going to do it for the example, but you would print that out. You're not going to approve it or anything. You're just going to close it out once you printed it. Then we're going to jump into our docs tab. And just like on the application process, we've got everyone that would be listed in the household would show here with folders. We're going to click on Bubba and we're going to look at the packets. Now we can see in this situation that we've got the move-in packet for the state, and then we have the new move-in application approval packet. We need the recertification approval packet and the recert packet for the state. So since it's not showing here, we're going to go up here to Actions, and you're going to do a new packet. And the first one we will do is the recertification application approval packet. And then we're going to have to select a lease term and a tax credit term. So we've got a lease term here for 11/1/2018 to 10/31/2019. So that is the upcoming year. Now, if we didn't complete the renewal like we did in the very beginning, that would not show up. So if you ever get here and you don't have the dates right, that means you didn't finish out the renewal. So same thing on the tax credit. We want the annual starting on 11/1/2018. So we're going to hit Save. And then we also have the recertification packet for our property that we need to do. So we've got the WP recertification packet. This one's for Texas. And same thing on our terms. So we want the lease term for 11/1/2018 and the tax credit for the annual with the same date. Hit Save. All right, so now when we go back into our packets, the one that we're working on in this video is the recertification application approval packet. So go ahead and open that up. This is going to look somewhat similar to what we saw in the application process because it's pretty much the same. I mean, we're going to download the documents, send it over to compliance for approval. So one of the first things that we want to do, obviously we've already had him, like I said, fill out the application. We've collected all of the information that we needed from him as far as pay stubs and affidavits. So we're going to go ahead and print our barcodes. So you're going to print off all the ones that you need. So we need the processing control sheet, the trial tick, the application, application state form, calculation worksheet, member verification, student affidavit. You wouldn't need the additional members' ID Social Security cards because we're not adding anyone, we're not doing a self-certification, and then we've got the asset verification and the income verification. And you'll need to know with your state because the state form typically has to do with self-certification, so you'll know when you're working through this if that's something that you need, depending on your state. So I'm going to go ahead and print those off. Alright, so here's what the barcodes look like, very similar to what we saw in the application process. So it just shows the documents that we need. So we've got the processing control sheet. So after we print these out, we're going to sort them and put all the documents behind the appropriate barcode sheet. So I would take this, put my processing control sheet behind it, then move down. I would put the trial tick here, go down, put the application here, and so on and so forth. Once you do that, you'll scan all the documents in. You can do that all together because the barcodes will actually separate it out for you. I would just scan it in, save it somewhere on your desktop. Maybe you have a file that you've named recertifications or new applications or whatever. If you are hardwired to one site, you can actually scan it directly from one site, but we'll discuss that in a separate video. So in this instance, I'm just going to pretend like I printed this off. I put all the documents behind the appropriate barcodes, and then I'm going to save it here. And I'm just going to call this Bubba Recert. Save. Minimize that. All right. Then we're going to close this out. We're going to come back over here under Actions, attach document with a barcode. And we just need to find the document. So first we'll just type in a description. Find the document wherever we saved it. So it's right here. Attach. It does take a minute or so to do that. All right, so once we do that, we're going to go back into the recertification application approval packet. It does show that all of these documents were uploaded based on the barcode value. So again, we can go over here and view this just to double check, make sure everything's okay. And we can see we clicked on the processing control sheet, and that's exactly what's showing. If I had actually put all the documents in here, you'd be able to scroll down and see the processing control sheet that you completed. So you can go through and see all these ones that we have. We have to finalize these because we can see we've got this red X and our submit button is grayed out. So we can't send any of this to compliance yet. So remember, we can do that individually. If we wanted to click on more and change status to final, I could do that individually. But when you have a bunch of documents, it's just easier to select all, go to actions, make selected final. All right, so it's all finalized. Once it's finalized, we're ready to submit it. So you're going to go ahead and submit. And then once you do that, very similar to what we did with the application packet, you're going to email your compliance point person and let them know that you have uploaded a recertification application into Docs Management. That will start the PFN process. So you will receive an email, typically within 48 hours, letting you know that if there's any corrections that need to be done on this file. If you have the packets toolbox on your Today page, which you should, you will notice if there are corrections, it's going to show that that packet has been rejected. It is not a full rejection. It just means that there are corrections that need to be made. So what you will do is look at your PFN, come back into your packet, just open it up, and if there is a correction needed on a specific document, over here under Approved, you're going to see a little red X letting you know that there are corrections that need to be done. So let's pretend in this situation that we had, under our member verification, there's a lot of different documents that could be there. So let's say that there was an affidavit that was incorrect and we need to make a correction to that. So what we're going to have to do, so there would be red X here, what we're going to have to do is go over here and we need to remove the document from the packet. So we're going to go ahead and pull out that section of the file, and my suggestion is you keep all that together with the barcodes until you get through this process, so it's really easy to go to what you need. So go through and let's say it's just one affidavit that you're doing a correction on, get that done. You would then need to scan that whole section back in. So everything that goes under the member verification barcode would need to be scanned back in. Don't just put the one document. Everything that's behind that barcode needs to be put back in. So you can do that with the barcodes like you did before. You could print a barcode just for that section, or since you're just doing one document, you could just go ahead and scan those documents back in the same order they were put in the first time. Go here to More, hit Attach a Document. Just find where you attached it and saved it. I'm just going to pretend this one here is the correction. Attach. And then we're going to refresh. Okay, it shows that we've uploaded this document. So this is our corrected document. It's got a red X next to it, so we need to finalize that just to show that we've made our corrections. So we're going to change the status to final. And then once again, we're going to hit submit. When you do that, you're going to respond back to the same PFN email string that you received and just let them know correction has been made to whichever affidavit we were talking about. The corrected file has been uploaded into one site. So you're going to go through that whole process until you get back the final approval letting you know that the recertification is ready to go. So that's pretty much it for the application process itself for recertifications. In the second part of this video, we will discuss closing out, or basically finishing the recertification within one site.